Вот эти тогда проводы, которые вы сняли, сохраните, пожалуйста, чтобы у вас были в запасе где-то. Hello, everybody. Well, let's welcome our audience. So we are back. And while we're here, I want us to go and invite our friends. Go tag your friends. Go invite your friends and family. And today we are going to, after doing the scientific method, I want to show you a video that I think is in line with what we have been thinking, that thinking and questioning can help resolve Africa's problem. Let's have a look at, I think camera might be back a little bit because it's, so let's go ahead and look at this video. Okay, go ahead, put on the video.
I'm an inventor, entrepreneur, and a businessman.
Yeah,
I want to change the perspective of the whole world, the way they perceive Africa as technology is concerned. I'm an inventor, entrepreneur, and a businessman. I want to change the perspective of the whole world, the way they perceive Africa as technology is concerned. So last year I came up across an article whereby they said flying cars are the future. And the companies that are doing the flying cars, none of them mention Africa. I felt bad, as if we don't have people who have brains in Africa. If they are testing in the US in 2020, when do you think it's going to come to Africa? Will we wait until we get old? So for us, we took the initiative, we took the challenge, we took the risk and said it has to start from Africa. The technology is like normal drones, but now it's big. So everything has to be big. So the first step that I did, I started doing a lot of research, doing the design. And then we started building small prototypes. And, we've developed several prototypes. Up to this moment, we've spent, I would say, between 8 to 10 million at this point. The whole aircraft is it's battery powered. We're using the batteries and electric motors. The drone has several parts. We have the electronics, which is now the flight controller, and then the motor speed controller, and then we've also developed a communication system. And then secondly, we have now the batteries, and then we have the motors, and then we have the frame. Whatever you've seen is just a prototype. We want to work with the taxi hailing companies like Uber, Taxify, Little Cabs. So we create like an API, depending on the partnership that we'll do with them, whereby we can be able to plug into their systems, so you can decide you want to ride on the road or you want to fly. The first version that we'll release for short distance, we'll have like a landing pad situated strategically at the city. Once you request from your phone, a normal Uber will come to you, pick you up, drive you to the nearest landing pad where the drones will be there already fully charged waiting for you. So just open one, it will take you now to the nearest landing pad to your destination. So it's high time for African leaders to change. It's high time for them to see what the young people are doing, because most of the challenges that we're going through in this country, we can use technology to solve. In short, Africa is not about poverty. Africa is not about sickness. We can do the same as the people in the US. We have people who can also be able to give them competition in technology.
And that is just in line with what Pearl and Zoe spoke about in the morning. Fortunately or unfortunately, that is also another scientist from the same country. Elon Musk is from South Africa, but at least this time he's a black guy. So because Elon Musk, most people don't even remember that he's from South Africa. They think he's an American or a Canadian. So this guy, he took a challenge. This is the result of scientific method right there. That was a question. What was the question? Oh, the future belongs to flying taxis. And he said, and they're only going to start in the US on the 1920. It's going to start by 2020. So if it's going to start in US by 2020, it will never get to Africa. Or by the time it gets to Africa, it's another 20 years. So this guy said, being an inventor himself, he felt challenged. So he was not building that, but he started just researching it. Just the same method that I just told you. He had a question. We want to begin to develop flying taxi, on my own. So let's develop our own, not wait for the one coming from the US. He just put the question there, started doing research, then started discovering that, drone is a good idea. He discovered drone, just discovered things that are already existing, put them together, experiment one time, hypothesis. This hypothesis will not work, this hypothesis will not work. Variables, change the variables, do the hypothesis until it worked. So now he's even doing it faster than the US that came up with the idea. Just for you to know how strong the scientific method is. You might not even have anything to do, but once you can put the question before you, it can be resolved. Just follow the method. And that's what Zoe and Paul were talking about in the morning, that Elon Musk too, also was not an expert in space and things like that. But he just put the question before himself and started looking for the answers. It's through the scientific method. So what am I trying to say? By using the scientific method, if anybody ever did anything in the world, even if they have not done, if you have the method, you can do anything. We can achieve any goal. We can solve Africa's problems. So can you now imagine if we put the scientific method as a common knowledge in every primary school, secondary school, university, and we make it as just compulsory. This teaching that I've been doing, if we start a movement based on it and begin to popularize it, do seminars, show this kind of films, show this kind of, the boys like started the radio station, the one in Sierra Leone, the one from Malawi, show people and tell people that they, just open the eyes of people that, and in Nigeria we have millions. We have 200 million people. Can you imagine how many, even if it is 1% of them that catch it? We can jumpstart the development of Africa through the scientific method. But we must popularize it. We must make it a commonplace. We must begin to, first of all, start with the smaller things. Practice it in regards to, our mundane, everyday lifestyle. Then make it become, big stuff like science and things like that too. It's not a big deal to become a genius. And I told you about that yesterday. We could also teach our people how to, think like a genius and resolve Africa's problems as well. Okay, let's see another video of mine that where I was talking about this same principle. Illustrative video from me talking about principle. Пожалуйста, следующее.
Nothing that stops you from doing it. This is a principle. You remember I'm talking about life is predictable. One of the principles, if anyone could ever do it, then you can. Anything that anybody was ever able to do, there is nothing that stops you from doing it. This is a principle. You remember I'm talking about life is predictable. One of the principles that makes life predictable is the fact that anything that anybody was ever able to do, every one of us can repeat it. If we, there are some principles behind it, but I'm going to tell you. That is why God gave us the Bible as a book of examples or book of principles. The reason this is important is because the Bible is given to us for us to see the example of other people that were able to please God. The example of other people that were able to do great things. If anybody was ever able to do anything in this world, that is a proof on its own. That is a principle that thing could be repeated by any other person. God created the whole universe and it created the earth to function in such a way that we will know this as a fact, that anything that you ever aspire to do, just look for somebody who has done it before. If anybody was able to do anything, if anything was attempted by somebody and was successfully done, that thing could be repeated. Let's look at Bill Gates. if anybody like Bill Gates was ever able to make billions and will make them in the tens of almost $100 billion, it means that feat could be repeated by anybody who really seriously wants to do the same thing. That is one thing that you must know. There are no special people in that sense. Sometimes we put people on the pedestal and we think that people are special. We think that, oh, only he alone could do it. Sometimes some people come to me and look at Pastor Sunday, only you could do what you have done. Wow, you are so special. God has anointed you to do that. You are the only one who can do that. No, my friend. If Pastor Sunday was able to do it, each one of you can do it as well. It doesn't matter what area of life. If anybody was able to do something, every other person can repeat it. Look at the great people that we all admire. Shakespeare, Isaac Newton, Martin Luther King Jr. or Martin Luther the Reformer. Think of any, or Mother Teresa, Princess Diana. Think of anybody that you ever admire in your life. What do you admire them for? What are the great things they have done, they have been able to do? Anything that they have been able to do, no matter how great, how spectacular, how supernatural it is, that could be done by any other person also. In Europe here, people used to think that people who had the ability to read and write were given that ability from above, from God. They think that the ability to read and write was a unique ability that was given to those few people, selected people from heaven. That people would think that the ability to read and write has to be given to you specially from heaven, that you have to be specially chosen. And people were thinking that not everybody, this is not in Africa, people talk like that. People talk like this everywhere in the universe. People talk like that in Africa, people talk like that in Asia, and especially in Europe. That doctrine was here in Europe. Or you could think that some individuals are special or they are superior. No, you just need to discover the formulas and the principles behind their success. That is what makes life predictable. Therefore, life is predictable because if you could find out the principles and the rules and the laws behind anything in creation, behind everything, you will discover that you too, you will be able to predict your future. You will not just be able to predict it, you will be able to repeat what that person has done. Everything that anybody has ever done could be repeated. Every achievement, every greatness, every product that has ever been created by any human being could be repeated by any other person. Life is about principles, my friends. Principles discovered and principles implemented. So if anybody was ever able to attain anything, to become anything in life, know that there's no problem for you. You too can become that. When I discovered it, I didn't want to just be an ordinary preacher, and because God wanted me to be a preacher, and I said all the preachers that I knew at that time, most of them were white people and only few black people, and I thought I didn't have any chance. But Bill Graham is a white, Oral Roberts is a white, Kenneth Hagin is a white, T.L. Osborne is a white, and all these people are Americans, and I thought I didn't have any chance. But when I discovered this secret, I discovered that if I could just study them, so I began to study these people. That's why studying biographies of successful people is so key and is so important, because they will help you to discover the secrets behind their success. They all used a principle by looking for God. All of them went to lock themselves up in a room for like a week or 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, just seeking the face of God. So I said, okay, this is a principle right there. I said, okay, for me not to be an ordinary pastor and for me to be, a successful pastor, I need to do the same thing. So I was determined to go and lock myself inside until Jesus comes to appear to me. Because that's another principle I discovered, that Jesus appeared to most of these people individually. But how did Jesus appear to them? By them seeking his face, locking themselves up in a place for as long as possible until Jesus came down. Life is built on principles, formulas, and algorithms. So there are rules, laws that guide everything that happens in the world. I spoke about buildings. How is it that everybody can now build buildings? Because the science of architecture was invented. Just look at medicine as well. There was a time people used to think that you only needed to be a doctor from God, that God himself needed to anoint you and make you a doctor, that only God, only if you are not born to be a doctor, you cannot be one. But today, Anybody could be taken to the medical school and be trained to be a doctor. Why? Because the algorithms and the formulas have been discovered. Anybody could become a doctor if he wants to. Anybody could become an engineer if he wants to. Just go to the school. Why do we have school system? Because school system and educational system is about formulas. Discovered formulas and principles that are being taught to you. You are just being taught the principles and secrets and formulas that have been discovered. That's why we have education. That's why we have educational system. But for you to be thinking that only some few people can be successful, that you cannot be successful, is living in ignorance. Is living in darkness.
Okay. If anybody could develop their continents and their countries, and Europe has done it, America has done it, Australia has done it, the whole world has done it. We are the ones lagging behind. Then we know, you just know the principles, and we should be able to put on the work. So if we know the principles, we can put on the work, then we can do the same thing. We can do anything that anybody, any nation, any continent has been able to do. Ata issue another. That's the one. Mojo beef concern. Okay, so we are going to continue our classes. So for those people who are joining us just now, please go ahead and share the message, share and tag your friends, share in the timeline, share to the groups, to the inboxes and Facebook groups. And we are going to continue our HMT, the art of questioning, by talking about developing Africa through critical thinking. So now I'm going to talk about critical thinking. I hope you have the strength to survive it. Developing Africa through critical thinking. It's like you people are so tired. They are so tired. They are looking weak. Are you sure they will survive this one? Talk less of another one you wanted to do. I don't think it's worth it. We just do this one. Yeah, and you're all looking serene. 1 week. You want to know some? I think that if we teach Africa critical thinking, we can change Africa as well. We can bring about development. Teach people to think critically. It will destroy superstition. Critical thinking will destroy the superstition and backwardness. I know you did a good job, by the way. Yeah. So how can we develop our continent, our countries, through critical thinking? That's what we are going to be doing right now. Okay, are you ready, Chris?
Yes, sir. Developing Africa through critical thinking. Critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking is the act of using reason to analyze ideas and dig deeper to get to our true potential.
Yes. Okay, do you get that right? Critical thinking is the art of using reasoning, questioning, reasoning to analyze ideas, even dig deeper, what we have been doing all this week, to get to our true potential or to get to the full potential of the thing you are analyzing. For example, to get to the full potential of the nation, to get to the full potential of the country, of the continent, to get to the full potential of the individuals, the citizens of the country.
Critical thinking isn't about thinking more or thinking harder. It's about thinking better.
That's nice. So it's not thinking more, it's not thinking harder, it's thinking better. Yeah.
Honing your critical thinking skills can open up a lifetime of intellectual curiosity. But the journey...
You remember we spoke about intellectual curiosity?
Yeah.
Good.
But the journey isn't all rosy.
You have to work hard. And not just one-time thing. You've got to constantly work on it. Hey,
Critical thinking requires a lot of discipline. Staying on track takes a combination of steady growth, motivation.
You see, for you to really develop critical thinking, you must constantly be on it. Constantly keep on doing it and constantly growing in it. Constantly doing critical thinking, exercising it, practicing it, and constantly growing in that practice. Motivation, you must also constantly keep on motivating yourself so that you don't give up. And because it's easier to live from autopilot. Yeah. It's easier to just live like every other person. Wake up, eat, go to sleep, go to work.
The ability to take an honest look at yourself, even in the face of some uncomfortable facts.
Because critical thinking has to start from yourself. You've got to criticize your own position, your own beliefs. You've got to critique your own belief systems. Why you believe what you believe. Why do you do things the way you do them? Why do you believe the way you believe them? Why do you have that mindset? Is it because your parents taught you like that? Is it because that's what you've always known? Is it because that's what you were told? Why are you the way you are? So critical thinking will also start from yourself with rebranding yourself, repackaging yourself.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being praised for me. Hosea 4 verse 6. You could say they are the foundation of You could say they are the foundation of our critical framework. But what if those assumptions turn out to be wrong, or at least not entirely truthful? Then the whole foundation needs to be rebuilt from the bottom up.
So first of all, what we are doing here now is we are questioning, you should start, for you to develop critical thinking, you must question all your assumptions. For example, let me give you an example of how I had to do that with myself. It started with my accent. Because when I came to Europe, we were studying with people from different countries, and East Africans were always thinking that we were pronouncing words bad, Nigerians, Kenyans, and people like that. So I had to challenge myself and say, okay, what's the problem here? Then I discovered that both we East Africans, so West to Africa, all of us were wrong. All of us, we are in the same pot. All of us are pronouncing it wrong. So we have to then come and learn how to pronounce. So that's the beginning. Then secondly, I discovered that, wow, our temperament as Nigerians is totally different from the temperament of other Africans. So I had to see what are the advantages there and what are the minuses there. So I have to, embrace the good part and try to detach myself from the things that I think might not be so good. But the greatest work that I have to do about myself is in the area of organization, management, and being organized, the ability to be organized. That was my greatest challenge. To be organized within myself first, in my mind. For example, I never knew that I needed to structure my thinking. I didn't know that you have structural thinking. That thinking must be structured. Otherwise, everything will just be coming to your head and you will think it is you. I didn't know that I needed boundaries in my thinking. I didn't know that not those things that come to my mind, they are not my thoughts. And I didn't know that I needed to shape, to build. So those are the kind of things I needed to discover about myself. Then I also discovered that the way I am, that is not me. And that was a big shock to me. That Sunday Adelaja is not what I had known all my life. And Sunday Adelaja, not now, this was about 20 years ago that I was having all this crisis. So to cut a long story short, I came to the conclusion that everybody must give life to himself, not the one that was given by your parents. The one that was given by your parents, it is not your work. But you must rebrand yourself. You must give life to yourself. What does that mean? Let's say Shioma right now. If we take Shioma, the Shioma we know right here is not the Shioma that God created. How do I know that? Because if this same Shioma were born by the same parents, father and mother, but she were to be born not in Nigeria, but let's say in Canada, Shioma will be speaking with another accent. Why that? But that is just the thing you see from outside. But Shioma will be having another set of value system than the Shioma we know today. Will she still be the same Shioma? Yes, because that's the same name she was given by the same parent, the same DNA in her. But the content of who Shioma is will be totally different. Now, that doesn't mean that that Shioma in Canada is better than the one in Nigeria or is the one that is right. I'm just saying, whoever you are right now is not you. You are just an accident of your environment. Because you became who you are right now because of where you grew up in. Some of you are born in England. If you are the same person with your name, to the same parents, if you had been born in Nigeria, you would have been a different person altogether. You will still be looking the same, but you'll be talking differently, and your content will be totally different. So where do you get that content from? Now, that doesn't mean that the one you have right now will be better than the one in Africa, or the one in Africa will be better than the one right now. But still, just the way I'm telling you right now that you are not you. Because you are just you're a product of experimentation. You are an accidental product of your environment and people who surrounded you and the school you went to, the relatives you grew up around. But let's say you were the same person with the same name, but you were born in Germany or in Japan, but you were surrounded by other people, who are not our environment. You are speaking a different language. You'll be believing different value systems. Why? So it means that you are not you. So if I'm now saying that the you who was born in Canada or the you who was born in England or the you who was born in Africa is not necessarily the better you or the best you. How do we then get to the best you? Beautiful. You have to do an inventory of yourself. That is how you begin. That's another teaching, though. But let me quickly. There is a book I have here. I'm a person. Am I a personality? Is it there? So that book, you need to read it if you want to get to what I'm talking about. I'm a person. Am I a personality? So anyway, so let me take you a bit quickly through the process of recreating and rediscovering yourself, giving life to yourself. First of all, you have to start with an inventory. Who am I right now? On one hand, you have to have a table. A table. On one hand, I, as I know myself. We are not talking about the physical stuff that you cannot change. That you are black or you are tall or you are short. We are not talking about that. We are talking about your inner content. But this exercise of doing an inventory of yourself, what it will first of all give you is that it will challenge you to have critical thinking. What is critical thinking in this sense? The critical thinking in this sense it will be that you are being forced for the first time maybe in your life to even look yourself in the face in the mirror. Most of us have never really faced ourselves. We've never looked at ourselves in the mirror. We've never been forced to bear ourselves naked before ourselves. But you need to do it. If you don't get to a place where you bear yourself naked before your own self, you strip yourself naked and look at your own nakedness, you will never be able to rebuild yourself and be able to give a better life to yourself. So that is called critical thinking. Critical thinking, to be able to look at yourself from another, not just assume that this is you. And because what most people think, and the way most people think is that we just accept ourselves that this is me. And since this is me, I'm good. Other people might be bad, but I'm okay, it's me. But that is a bad assumption. Don't just assume that because it's you, you are good and you are the best version of yourself. I've just proven to you that that's wrong and that you are an accident. You are actually a product of somebody else's work. You are a product of your parents' work, of your environment, of your country's work, of your schools, all those things. You have not, you yourself, you have not taken time to think about yourself, to add value to yourself. This book, you have to start with this one if you really want to take this thing serious. I'm a person, am I a personality? So, I just gave you 1 point, right? Do an inventory. And that inventory has to be in form of a table. The myself, or who I am right now, including your strong points and your weak points. Then, the second table has to be in those areas that you have identified as yourself. Who are the people you know to be best in them? For example, let's say the way I speak. Who do I admire that speaks the best that I know? Is it that person better than me, or I'm better than that person? If it's better than me, it means I must improve that. Let's say my boldness. Am I a bold person? When I'm in public speaker, am I as good as the best person I know in that category? If I'm not, then I have to rebuild myself to be as good or the best that I could have actually be. Third, for example, character. What's the best character I know? Christ's character, God's character, because that's what I was made in the image of God. So you have to put down, what are the best features and character traits of God? God forgives. God loves. God suffers long. God is merciful. God doesn't discriminate. God loves everybody. God is pure. God is holy. God is righteous. God is understanding. God is forgiving. So all those things, I give myself mark in them. How am I? God is tolerant. How am I? How good I am in all these points. If not, I have to rebuild and shape myself to be the best I could ever be compared to anybody. God is knowledge. God is wisdom. How am I doing that? So the optimum idea, but I'm using God as my own standard. But you might not need to start with God as your own standard. You can start with just the best people you see around you. Because if you want to, some of you don't even know how to study God and how to replicate God in yourself. But don't start with God straight. You can start with just the best you see around you. For example, in dressing, if that is a value to you. Am I good enough? Am I the best out of the men that I see around me like myself? Okay, I have to improve on that. Okay, let's say in studying, in self-education. Who do I know that really studies and really works on himself? Am I as good as that person? No, I have to work myself. So, and what are my weaknesses? Then you take on your weaknesses and begin to make them the way God wants them to be. So you reconstruct yourself. But the things I'm trying to give to you are the building blocks. Get the building blocks together. Be the best version of human being that you could be. I don't know if some of you have been studying me, you will discover that this is a unique human being. It is not because I was born by my mother and father like this. It's not because my name is Sunday Adelaja. It is a product of recreating myself. So you see that somebody said today that, you know too much. How can you know things like that? It's not by accident. God didn't born me like that. It's because I discovered that I have to create myself the best version. The best human being that God wanted me to be. I discovered that the one that left Idomila, even my own sister that was here that brought me to Christ, she was just here. She just left. They are asking her in an interview. Even I know Victor did interview. But this is your brother here. Do you recognize him? What do you think when you? She just the only God though. She's thinking that because that's Nigerian answer. paganistic mindset. That is Nigeria. Everything is God, though. God, though. As if God is partial. As if God is partial. God is not partial. If to really tell you the truth, you know, leave God alone out of the equation. Of course, God, though. But God, though, for you too. God, though, for everybody. You know, don't be, you know, it's just, that is the culture she's coming from. God, though. It is God, though. If it is God, though, and you don't discover this truth, that God, though, will be, you will be singing God, though. If it is God, though, you even had somebody talk about it, that you have to discover yourself and rebrand yourself and you reframe yourself, and you don't put in work to do it. You will be saying God, though, you will die in your grave before you realize that God, though, is still waiting for you to do what you needed to do. So what I'm saying is that until you intentionally decide to reconstruct yourself, to give life to yourself, it is not you we know. What we know is an accident. I mean, the first time, I read journalism, for those of you who don't know. So in journalism, you have to do some work. So that was the first time I recorded my voice in one of my workshops. Recorded my voice. When I had my voice first, I put it off. Yahweh Klushil. I switched the thing off. And 3 weeks after, I was still in depression. You want to tell me this is what people have been hearing? That's what I was telling myself. The depression was because this is what I've been coming out of my mouth. So this is what people have been thinking Sunday Adelaja is. Because you think too much about yourself, you're too good about yourself until you try it out, until you question it. That is critical thinking. So I have to now begin to recreate my voice. So you think it's by accident? Welcome. Congratulations. But my biggest fight, apart from, the other one I said about management and structure, was confidence. I lacked it. I lacked it big time. But today, in this world, go and look for a preacher who is more confident than Sunday Adelaja. Go, make a good look. Start your journey from today. I will give you another 10 years. You think it just came by because God though. Now God though. That work took me 2 years. Minimum. I had to go and look for the boldest people that I knew. I got all their videos. I was watching them as much as possible. Then I got a big mirror from the wall to the straight to the down. And I was practicing later on to build confidence in myself. So what you are seeing today is a result of something. Don't just assume that this is you. I have a different... Some people are telling me, it's because I am melancholic. I make you sit down there. You will be melancholic till your grave. But what I discovered about the temperament is that melancholic has some advantages. Phlegmatic has some advantages too. Phlegmatic, sanguine had another advantage. Choleric has another advantage. So I gathered together, sat down, and took all the advantages of all of them, put them in a straight line. You have to be intentional. This is what I'm calling rebranding. I recreated myself. But if you are just going to be reading what those people are writing in those books and something,
keep yourself in a mold.
Yeah. So they will just tell you, this is you, and you just say, that is me, now what can I do? That is the animals that behave like that, animals, cats and dog. That this is me, I just remain, there's nothing I can do there. Not be human. You don't be human being. You are not an animal now that you just say, this is where they put me, and you just remain there. I have brain to think. I saw that in my own temperament, the one they gave me, it is full of minuses. It has a little plus and many plenty minuses. So I gather all the I gather all of them and made them my own alone. That's how you make yourself better. That's how you build yourself. So you cannot go about be saying, so confidence was one of the things I lacked big time. So I took care of it. I took care of it through work, hard work. Then another thing I took care of was, I don't know if Success and others remember, when they used to come to retreat, I used to be on their neck. You know, there were other guys they used to call. One of them was a pastor there. They called Samuel or so in Arco. They used to come here around me. So I used to tell them, you know, if you see Nigerians these days, when I was growing up, when I was in Nigeria, Nigerians were not smallish like Success and people like this that you are saying now. Those are not Nigerians those days. Nigerians, you used to know Nigerians by this guy, like the way this guy look. Tokwe. Yeah, that's the way Nigerians, that's the normal, typical Nigerian stature. But since the 90s, all the people who were born in the 90s or something like that, malnourishment don't kill them. So in those days, in our days, people like Victor and all that, they were too small to be Nigerians. But there were smaller ones, like those Pastor Sam in Arcov and then other people. They used to be smallish. All of them they were just coming from Nigeria. They were like chicken, small chicken. I said, what is happening to that country? When we came, they used to separate Nigerians from other Africans the way they were looking. Lanky, tall, and something. But now even footballers, they're all small people. But you look, it's just like the Senegalese. They are big. Can you imagine now, after 20 years, they become like small like that. Go and look at the footballers in Nigeria in the 80s, in the 90s. Yes. They don't used to be like this. But it is because, you know, in this country, for example, that they call something minimum. There is a minimum amount of meat. They call it ration or what they call it. Ratio. Ration. There is a ration, is minimum amount of milk everybody must take in a day. And a minimum amount of meat, fish, eggs, that must come on a human being. In the 70s and 80s, we had that in Nigeria. But now, it's more important is that at least there is something to swallow. Now they even call it swallow. As long as you can provide the swallow, it's okay. Thank God. Go and praise God for it. So anyway, even though Nigerians were big like that, but when I came to this country, I was just as small as Success. I was just as small as all these other people I was talking about. Maybe smaller. Success is better now, but when I saw him those days, he was not looking like this. So the same thing, even Victor also was smaller the first time I met him. Now he's better. But when I came to the country, I was much smaller. I was more smaller than all of them. So I decided to, you didn't see my picture. I can show you my picture. Yes, and now I'm like this. You think it's by accident? Not by God though. So I told them the strategy. I told the boys who used to come here at that time the strategy. I said, I too came. I was smallish like this, like half. Then what I discovered is that the way I was looking, even me, I was not respecting it. Talk less of, I expected other people to respect me. Even me, I was not expecting. To tell you the truth right now. Talk less of expecting other human beings to respect me. So I discovered that I can change it myself. Everything takes work. But by the time, in the next 2 years, I will show you the contrast. If I have time, I will show you photographs. The way I was when I came to this country, and the next 2 years, the way I was looking, not now. Now I'm an old man. When I was younger, when I worked on myself, yes, I made myself the type that I myself will respect. Yes. I'm a very determined person. If I want something, I will do it. So that is it. So then I discovered that because I fixed that when I was younger, it shaped me growing up. So even though I only did that for about 2 or 3 years, but I already built the frame that now formulated who I was going to be physically. I constructed everything part of my life. Everything is constructed. Informedly, in an informed manner, intentional. But what I've discovered around the world, this is not just among Africans, around the world, is that people think they are all by accident. They themselves are accident. Their life is accident. So anything that happens to them, they just embrace it. That is just they. No. That is a biomassist mindset. Construct yourself. But the physical ones are I'm not so particular about that. But if success is supposed to come here now and tell you the way he constructed himself, success that I met first, he was so timid. He couldn't talk so much. And he was talking sense, but he was like he was timid. But now, troublemaker for Satan. Against Satan, sorry. So, but he told me the process, not just me, he told everybody that he took all my messages, books, he started just creating himself. Where you are weak, that's why I'm writing all those books. Take the books alone and the messages, create yourself. Especially the inner content, become a giant. You know, people who are pastors, senior ministers, you know, they are telling me, when we watch your video, now we are no more even dreaming of becoming like you again. We are now dreaming of becoming like one of those your boys. Either Anu or Victor or Success. Just one of them is enough. Or Bayowa, just to become one of them. But they were just 2 years ago, they were not like that. They created themselves. Anu was telling me the process, and even Victor, they are now going through. It's not just to know alone, but to now make what they have known now part of them. They are creating themselves. And they were asking me, they were surprised that, Pastor, what we have seen in you is that you are not just teaching these things. They are things that you ask him anytime, anything, it just come out. Because it's totally different. It's created. You imbibe them in yourself. Critical thinking is what will help you to do this. These are the advantages of critical thinking. Livio that is sitting here, you know, he came here to stay for 2 months, I heard, or till September. 3 months. He left everything, left his country, left his job, because he wants to recreate himself. So we want to remain the person that accident has created. You want to remain the person that, your street that you don't even like yourself. You are carrying it everywhere with you. Your mother and your father that you don't even like their weaknesses. Those weaknesses are in your head. You are carrying them around with you. Your culture, your Nigeria that you don't like. That Nigeria is screaming from you everywhere, everything in you. Because you didn't remake yourself. You didn't give life to yourself. The greatest thing you will ever do in your life is to give life to yourself. Don't be in a hurry to marry. Marriage, forget. Because marriage is cause you to be giving life to another person. Irresponsibility. You'll be giving life to another person when you have not given to yourself. It is a misplaced priority. First of all, you are going to destroy the life of the one you marry. Crisis. hot water and cold water in one pot. and then you'll be giving back to new ones. And you yourself, you have not even discovered who you are. He's helping you. Yes, this thing is helping you. That's what I'm saying. Big time. You have to tell the truth to yourself. Yes. Somebody said, well, I got a good job. Now I can marry. Fool. You don't even know yourself yet. You wake up in the morning, you last night before you went to bed, you were thinking, is this, I'm like this. So wake up in the morning, you are already thinking you are the other one. By evening, you say, this is what I want. Like the next evening, you already say, I'm different. And then you are going. That's what they say in my language. Oma sheo.
Just a second in time.
Just a second? Yeah. Okay, good. Oma sheo, what would that mean? What a pity. Yes, what a pity, right. You are thinking now. You are thinking deep. It's like I've given you an assignment. No, yeah. No. No, that one you shock me. That's what they do. In fact, I would not even expect that one forever. That marriage, no, are you serious? He was just joking, I think. Even if it's not purpose, it's self-discovery. But why should you go after purpose when you have not discovered yourself? Purpose will come after. Give life to yourself. Finish. Then the rest will follow. Share. Why I'm putting my microphone down, make you the share. Okay, let's go back to so how to change Africa through critical thinking. Do you think that if we go and teach Africa this and bring understanding to Africa like that, something will change, or you not go change? It will change. Yeah, because I see the way the boys are changing. When Pastor Sufficient was here, Dr. Sufficient, I saw the way she was transformed. Joshua, I saw the way it was transformed. The guys that are here, I saw the way they are being transformed. Can you imagine if the people in Africa will have access to that kind of knowledge, information? And these people are going to church. They are going there to burn their years. Burning. They are just burning. Like you burn paper, you put it on fire. That's where they are burning their lives in those churches. Because they are not giving them content to make them become who they need to become. So question your assumptions. So the way you think is an assumption. You have to question it. The way your values, you have to question it. Your belief system, you have to question it. Question everything. There is no sin in it. Question your assumption. It is on that basis, on that premise, you will now reconstruct yourself. But it starts with questioning yourself. Questioning everything. I told you yesterday or 2 days ago that you should go and read Success's blog. You'll see the whole process with him, how it was evolving. In all his articles, everything he was going through in reassessing himself, rebuilding his life, he was writing them down, questioning everything and writing them down for the public to see. And then that way is helping other people to also question themselves and to rebuild their lives. It's a beautiful life when you live like that. Life without regret. That's why I'm ready to die now. But to the pagans, people who have paganistic worldview, death is a crisis. You don't even talk about death. because they are afraid of them. That's paganistic worldview. But if you are a Christian, death is, is a triumph. It's trophy. So anyway, question your assumptions. That's number one. And the most important thing you have to question is you before you begin to question what you believe. Yes, please.
You could say they are the foundation of our critical framework.
It's like Chris is really thinking deep on this topic. But you are doing a good job, Chris, because you just met me in October, and you have started, or September, but October, you have started, you took off seriously. I mean, how can somebody from October or November or even December till now has read over 50 of my books? And it's not missed one HMT since then. It's coming to every HMT. That's somebody who is serious about reconstructing his own life. Toyin, she's not 30 years old, though. I think she's more than 30. This Toyin that I'm saying. She came here, took ticket, and said, I'm going to be here till the end of the month. Is it till the end of the month? End of July. Till the end of July. For 2 months she came. Because some people want to be serious about giving life to themselves, reconstructing themselves. Not just lip service. You cannot play Ludo with your own destiny. Play games with your destiny.
You could say they're at the foundation of our critical framework. But what if those assumptions turned out to be wrong, or at least not entirely truthful? Then the whole foundation needs to be rebuilt from the bottom up.
You see what I was saying? And we come from a continent and from a country where, frankly speaking, even without even telling you, you yourself know that the foundation is totally faulty. We have to rebuild a lot of things.
We make a lot of assumptions about almost everything. It's how our brain processes certain pieces of information and how we get along in everyday life. What does it mean to question assumptions? Albert Einstein questioned the assumption that Newtonian laws of motion could accurately describe the world. He developed an entirely new framework for looking at the world by describing what...
By redescribing.
Okay, by redescribing what he thought had happened starting from scratch. We can question assumptions in a similar way. One, why do we feel the need to eat in the morning even when we are not hungry?
That is an example of questioning your assumption right there.
Why do we assume that we will fail when we haven't even tried?
That is an assumption right there.
What other assumptions are we taking for granted that might crumble upon further examination?
A lot. Like, for example, one of the assumptions that I think I am going to find very difficult to challenge in Nigeria is the concept of going to church. I'm trying to challenge it little by little right now. But people don't know that that is religion. Jesus said that a time is coming, you will not need to go to this mountain or to this Jerusalem or to look for God. God is already in you. You walk with God. You don't go to church to find God. But right now, even as I'm saying it now, some people are already having problem with me. Another assumption that I think is going to be tough for people to receive, especially when I get to Africa, is that you don't need to marry. Marriage is secondary. You can only marry after you have found purpose and you are on the path of fulfilling destiny. Once you know and you are sure that you have fulfilling destiny, then you can consider marriage. Consider. But the way things are right now is as if you are all purpose. This is artificial. This is animalistic thinking. It is paganism worldview that you are alive just to get married. You are ready, not ready. You understand what it means, or you don't understand what it is. Just because your body has grown, you are ballooned. Something protruding in your chest. They say, yeah, she's mature. She's ready. Let her go and marry. I mean, time is gone. It's a biological thing. It is biomasses. You know, a lot of these assumptions, that if you even talk about it like I'm talking about it right now to normal human being, you are an enemy immediately. They will say, that one has gone far. He's backsliding, I
was just thinking, I said, to a normal human being, this is a very, very high level of thinking. Very high. I don't,
not be small.
It will be a challenge for people to even try to reason it.
Okay, what about if I say the next one? That it is also vanity to be thinking that you have to have children.
Thank you.
You don't have to. For you to even decide to have children, you have to be so qualified, so ready, that you know exactly what those children will become. Okay, listen to my children. Have you listened to them? Not now when they are 16 and 20 or something, but when they were from 12, 13, 9. You are graduates or you are professors, you cannot talk like them. You cannot even reason like them. That's a result of parents that are ready to have children. Otherwise, they will become crisis for you. Yeah, I'm telling you. Your biggest pain in life will be because you have children. If you are not ready for them.
Yes. One of the big pastors, his son stabbed him to death.
Ooh, one of the big pastors?
Yes.
In
big
Redeemed?
name in Redeemed. 2 years ago.
His son stabbed him to death.
His son's son.
This is Christian family. You know, that's what I'm saying. So this is one of the things I'm talking about, that having children, that is one of the assumptions, that's one of the stereotypes that must be broken. You don't have to have children until you are ready or you feel you know what to give to them. Otherwise, you are doing a disservice to that child. Yeah. That child would never forgive you. Yep. That child will be cursing you every day of his life. He might not mention it though. He might not open his mouth to say it. But some of you have done that to your parents too. I will tell you that one.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Why did you even bring me here for some of you, you know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
But you try to question it, they will say, no, Otio, no.
If you don't have to burn you, so if you don't burn you, how will you be on earth?
You see? Yes. They don't care about my struggles. They don't care for your struggles. They don't care for your sufferings. They just say you are here, that's all. So how you survive? Will they help you carry your load? So there are a lot of things to question that a lot of people are just not bold enough to question.
Yeah. I wouldn't say bold. I would say they don't know enough.
Okay.
Before you challenge something, you must hold your ground. So you don't know enough. So why challenge?
You don't have the ground upon which to stand.
So what do you want to challenge? No knowledge.
No, but if you go to Germany, for example, you know a lot of people, they prefer not to marry or to marry, not to even have children. In the West now, people are getting, not everybody, but people are moving towards that with understanding, putting understanding for not just animalistic instincts first.
I'll read again. We can question assumptions in a similar way. For example, why do we feel the need to eat in the morning when we are not hungry? Why do we assume that we'll fail when we haven't even tried? What other assumptions are we taking for granted that might crumble upon further examination?
So some of them are the ones I'm giving you now, and I'm sure. Okay.
How fortunate for governments that the people they administer don't think, by Adolf Hitler.
That is what is happening. Satan himself is rejoicing that human beings don't think. Hitler was rejoicing that human beings don't think. That how fortunate government is that people they rule over don't think. Как повезло правителям, что народ не думает. Представляешь? Что народ не думает. How lucky governments are, rulers are, that masses don't think. And he was saying this in Germany. That is one of the people who think.
Yeah, but sir, but
compared to others.
In our cases, at least he's rejoicing that the people don't think. He's rejoicing for the government, right? But in our cases, even the people in government don't think.
And the GOs are rejoicing.
So I think the Western world are rejoicing that both the government in Africa and the people in Africa don't think. Number 2, don't take information on authority until you've investigated it yourself.
You know, we are talking about critical thinking. These are bases of critical thinking. Question assumptions. Number 2, don't take things on authority until you have investigated it yourself. Okay?
Like assumptions, taking information on authority can be useful. Instead of double-checking everything anyone says, we tend to label information as either coming from a trustworthy or not trustworthy source.
That's the problem. You know, let me tell you something. You know, you don't believe things that are true. Most of us don't believe truth. We only believe people who tell us. Once we know that people who tell us are authority figure for us, or people we respect, that's what we believe. Yes. Not what is truth.
True. Yeah.
Only few people believe what is true. And that's the problem we have been having with our presentations. Since they are pastors and the GOs told them, it doesn't matter what truth you carry. Authority figure is who we believe, not truth. But the reality is only truth should be the basis for life and for decisions. But what is normally the basis is authority figure. Since it's your moment, can you believe it that there are children who are growing up in families where there are 2 men? Yeah. And their parents will tell them that is the family. That's the only thing they believe. Because it has their parents telling them. There are people who grow up in families where they are idol worshippers, where they are cultists. But that's what they teach them, they tell them, because the authority figure, that's what they do. There are people who are growing up in Islamic countries. Everybody believes that Muhammad is the greatest prophet. Because that's what we don't believe what is true. We believe what authority figures tell us. So the only people who believe what is true are the people who have switched off autopiloting in true life. Who have now decided to live consciously through critical thinking. So this subject, critical thinking, must be introduced in all our schools. Must have a campaign and a movement to just teach people critical thinking. That's how to set Africa free as well.
I've not read the second one. This keeps us from double-checking every piece of information that comes our way, saving time and energy. It also keeps us from getting to the bottom of things we perceive as coming from a trustworthy source, even when they don't. Just because it was published in a magazine or broadcast over TV doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
See? And that is what I'm trying to introduce through my teachings. Yeah. All my teachings make you to challenge it. Everything is fact-based. Everything is, you cannot challenge me when it comes to teaching. Because everything has been confirmed. I've done scientific method over all of them. So all those people who are criticizing me, they can only criticize me that I'm a sinner, that I'm not perfect, that I make mistakes, but not on my ideology, on my theory and my teachings and my. They cannot question what I'm, because I've done my own work with them.
Get in the habit of using your instinct to investigate questionable pieces of information. If your gut isn't satisfied with an explanation, ask the person to elaborate. If you don't question a fact, read about it or test it yourself. Soon enough, you will build up a pretty good sense of what deserves more research and what you've determined to be true in your own judgment. Number 3, question things.
This is critical thinking. So the number 1, what we started with is question your assumptions. Number 2,
Yeah, don't take information
don't
on authority.
believe things because they are coming from authority figures.
Yeah.
Number 3, question everything. Question everything.
Asking questions is perhaps the quintessential act of critical thinking.
It's the most important part of critical thinking, asking questions.
If you don't know what questions to ask, or don't ask the questions in the first place, you may as well not get the answer. Finding the answer and finding it elegantly is what critical thinking is all about. For example, how does ball lightning works? How do fish fall from the sky in the middle of Australia? How can we take meaningful steps to fight global poverty? How do we dismantle production of nuclear weapons worldwide? He who despises the world will be destroyed. Proverbs 13, verse 13. Number 4, understand your own biases.
That is another thing that I had to struggle with. Because, for example, I didn't know that I had biases against homosexuals or abortion or lesbians. But when I began to question, why am I against these things? Because that's what my environment have told me that they are bad. Until I began to discuss, wait, how can it be homosexual? What about other areas of life? And I'm seeing people who are okay in other areas of life, even though they have sex. What is my own problem with their sexuality? And I've lived like this before. God forgive me. And what helped me was that I met with Bill Clinton. Because before I met with Bill Clinton, he just had scandal. They call him Lewinsky or something. Monica something. Lewinsky, yes. So I had come out with thinking that he's a sinner. Yes, that was in my mind on the back somewhere. Until I met him and I stayed with him for a week and I said, he's one of the best human beings I've ever met. I repented very fast. I don't know any pastor who is as good as that man. I don't know a pastor who is as good as him. So why should I now use his sexuality to say, God, don't make you forgive me. I'm done. That is what prejudices do. You don't know other aspects. Don't just take one thing from one person. It's just like saying, I should now discover something that is bad in you and magnify to the detriment of all other quality that you have. Would it be fair? You will not like it. And it's not fair. It's not humane to do that. That is prejudice. And we all have those kind of prejudices. So what is happening in Nigeria right now with those herdsmen? People are building prejudices.
Yeah. And the church is fueling it.
And the church is fueling it. That's the same way they build prejudices against Igbos in the 50s, in the 60s in Nigeria. And it led to massacre. Yes. And led to war also. Yeah. We don't do that. So you have to question your biases. Why do I don't like these people? Why do I say this one is bad? Why do I question your biases?
Human judgment can be...
You know, before, I didn't know that I had bias concerning Jehovah's Witness.
That's another big one.
And Mormon. But now I keep my mouth shut. Mm-hmm.
Why? Yeah.
Because what's my business? If they got to go to Saturday or church, what's my own problem about that one? Because that's what everybody was saying about me, around me now. That's why I had the prejudice. Karoshe. It's Russia, I said. Oh, in short, let's continue.
Human judgment can be subjective, frail, and spiteful. One recent study found that parents who were given corrected information about the safety of vaccines were less likely to have their children vaccinated. Why? The hypothesis is that parents given this information accept that the information is true, but push back people, it damages their self-esteem, something that is very important to most people. Understanding what your biases are and where they may affect how you deal with information. Number 5, think several moves ahead.
This is a very important part of critical thinking. Always thinking ahead, like chess player, several moves ahead. Strategic thinking is called.
Number 5, think several moves ahead. Don't just think 1 or 2 steps ahead, think several. Imagine you're a chess grandmaster who's dwelling with someone with the capacity to think dozens of moves ahead.
Can you believe it? They think dozens of moves ahead, not just few moves.
With hundreds of permutations. You have to watch wits with him. Try to imagine the possible futures the problem you are working on may take on.
And that's what is helping me with Nigeria now. You know, people are saying that I've not been to Nigeria, so I cannot talk, I don't know. That's what God has helped me to think like this. Think ahead. I have thousands of problems that I've designed ways to address in Nigeria because of thinking. But you that is there, because you've not been taught the skills of thinking ahead. You don't even see how to resolve one, talk less of several. It is strategic thinking that will help you with that.
Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon.com, famously understood the benefits of thinking several steps ahead. He tried Wired magazine in 2011. If everything you do needs to work on a 3-year time horizon, then you are competing against a lot of people. But if you are willing to invest on a 7-year time horizon, if you are willing to invest on a 7-year time horizon, you are now competing against a fraction of those people, because very few companies are willing to do that. When the Kindle first hit stores in 2007, it was more than 3 years in development at a time when e-readers were on nobody's radar.
3 years ahead.
Number 6, read great books.
And I bet you DSA has great books. Believe me. It's not because they are my own, no. You go, put me on the same scale with any other person. You know, just read my books and read other people's books, especially pastors. You will see that DSA has good books. They will help you. The work I've done on each book, you might need to read 100 before you get information you will get in one book of DSA. From other books, that is.
And it's true. Number 6, read great books. Nothing beats the transformation you get from a great book. Whether it's Moby Dick or Philip K. Dick, great writing has the power to, 1, frame debate. that's literature.
You know what somebody wrote me recently? You say, that the world has not have yet to discover DSA's books, because by the time they discover it, they will be thinking, where were we? Or where was this guy?
It's true.
It's going to revolutionize the world.
Number 1, frame debates or literature. Enlighten or non-fiction. Unleash emotion or poetry. Reading isn't only the bookworms. Reading isn't only for bookworms. Elon Musk, the tech giant, said he mastered rocket science by pretty much reading and asking questions.
You see? That's the secret.
Number 7, put yourself in other people's shoes. Empathy can also help you develop your critical thinking skills. Whether it's improving your negotiation tactics or understanding literature better, putting yourself in the shoes of others will help you imagine their motivations, aspirations, and turmoils. You can use this information to get leverage, be persuasive, or just plain be a better person. Empathy doesn't need to be heartless. Number 8, set aside at least 30 minutes a day to improve your brain function. Carve out 30 minutes in your busy day to make your brain more sleek and powerful. There are dozens of ways that you can do this. Here are just a few ideas. Number 1, solve a problem a day. Spend a little bit of time figuring out a problem and then try to solve it. The problem could be a theoretical or personal one. Number 2, find the time to exercise consistently. 30 minutes of aerobic exercise, as little as a walk around the neighborhood, can help improve brain function. Number 3, eat the right kinds of foods. Avocados, blueberries, wild salmon, nuts, and seeds, as well as brown rice, play an instrumental role in keeping your brain healthy. Number 9, understand all your options. When you want to use your critical thinking skills to act, because armchair philosophy can get old after too long, it helps to know what your options are. Lay them all out there and then weigh the options. We often pigeonhole ourselves into believing that we are stuck with only one option when other options exist. Number 10, surround yourself with people smarter than you. You want to be the big fish in the little pond because it makes your ego feel good. Well, throw away your ego. If you really want to learn, get better. Get better at something and develop critical thinking skills. Hobnob with people smarter than yourself. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Steve Jobs. Not only can you bet that the smart people themselves rub shoulders with people smarter than they are, you can also bet that some of that intelligence is going to permeate your perspective. Walk with the dreamers, the believers, the courageous, the cheerful, the planners, the doers, the successful people with their head in the clouds and their feet on the ground. Wilfred Peterson. Number 11, fail until you succeed. Be fearless in the face of failure. Failure is just another way of figuring out what doesn't work. Use failure to your advantage by learning from your lessons. The popular myth, successful people never fail. When the truth is that successful people fail until they succeed, at which point their success is the only thing that's visible.
Especially Christians. They want you to be perfect all the time. So.
First time.
Okay, now the question I have for you guys is, what can critical thinking, what can we use this teaching or this, this technology, this philosophy, critical thinking, you say it's called developing Africa through critical thinking. How can we use this thing to change Africa or develop Africa? What do people think? Anybody wants to talk about that? How can we use critical thinking to make Africa develop or to make Africa a better place? This teaching you had today. Livio, you want to talk?
I think it will start with teaching the people to think for themselves and not rely on others. I think most people, especially in Africa, but all over the world, we are relying on the government. We're relying on other people to do all the things we want to see as improvements. And with these teachings, I think that we can make a start to learn people to think themselves. And that is where improvement starts.
Anybody else want to say something?
Yeah, just me. I was thinking of priorities because we saw, I think...
I'm giving you so much information this week.
Yeah.
You're having information overload. You have to find time to go and analyze, to go and really...
I was thinking on the terms of priority because we saw a quote where I think one of the lines says, it is more difficult to fix a broken man. So I was thinking we'll look in terms of plan in terms of the future and see how we can actually begin to catch the young ones now so that in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, we'll have a completely new society because most of the men we have today must have gone. But the mindset of the ones coming up will be completely transformed. And that's why I was looking because I work with a group and what we try to do is we talk to people in schools. But until now, we've been focusing more on the tertiary institution. But I think the most important group of people we can use to bring about a transformation in a country are the small ones. So we can start to think of programs, every one of us, on how we can target children still in nursery, children in primary school, children that are just going into secondary school, just before they go into university. I believe it's going to bring about a serious transformation.
So introduce critical thinking as a compulsory teaching in primary, secondary schools.
If they won't develop a curriculum,
at least we can come as NGOs, as clubs,
and begin to work with schools, private schools,
debate
public
groups,
schools, and all that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see another video here. Near Etaje, towards a new Africa. Touch to Yasidel Padvale Delam. Ya jitibia gavaru Africa daragaya. Gavaru had not a... We have already watched this video 2 days ago, but I want us to watch it again and to be able to connect this video to the teachings I've already given today, yesterday, and things like that. And you'll be able to see how this teaching, this HMT is so crucial and important to be able to build a new Africa, a new Nigeria, because there are major problems that we must resolve. And these are the instruments that we could use to resolve all these issues. Let's go. Hello,
everybody. This is a new genre that I'm introducing to you, my friends. And this genre is going to be called DSA's Thoughts. DSA's Thoughts. And this is different from DSA philosophy. These are thoughts. So what would be the difference? The philosophy are the building blocks, are the pillars that made who DSA is. But my thoughts are my ideas that I think will be a blessing to you. These are my thoughts that I think should be used to build a better world, and that could be helpful in promoting the kingdom of God on the earth, and also in building individual lives and building the kingdom of God at large in our world. And these are thoughts that anybody, any young aspiring or old person could take alongside with them in the journey of life. So welcome to DSS Thoughts. Now, I want to start this series with my next passion, with the passion for the next stage of my life. And for the next stage of my life, I am looking at Africa. I want to leave a legacy of a changed Africa, just like I'm leaving a legacy of a changed Ukraine. I don't want to leave this world without Africa being a different Africa. I don't want to leave this world without a changed Africa. That will be an indictment to me. And that will be a shame to me before my children and before my children's children. So I must not leave Africa the way I found it. In my lifetime, Africa must change. And the face of Africa must be more human. And the face of be more humane. And the face of Africa must be more beautiful. And Africa must not remain a dark continent. And that's why I'm going to fight for it. And I'm going to push it. And people are going to misunderstand me. People are going to think I'm crazy, or I'm looking for something, or have my ulterior motives or interests. But you know what? I know what I'm after. Africa must have a new image and a new picture by the time I'm gone from this world. So, what are my thoughts? Let's start from that. For Africa, not just for Nigeria, but for Africa in general. My thoughts are that, as in Europe, Africa and Africans must declare war against few things. Number one, we must declare war against superstitions. So you've seen some of the videos I've been doing, right? And some of you have watched my scandalous series on paganism. This because I'm declaring war already. And this is for you to know what are the thoughts behind my actions. And I believe that Africa would never be regenerated or civilized or developed without us uprooting all forms of superstitions from African continent. The first enemy
they don't believe everything people say and just what people say. That they're not superstitious. So I really believe that if we can bring this method of researching
scientific
method of researching back into Africa, and maybe starting with the schools, the children, the youth. I really believe that in a matter of time, change will come.
Anybody wants to say? Yeah.
So I think all that we have gone through this week are equally important.
Okay.
In the sense that to tackle a problem, we must understand the problem. And that's the very first step. Mm-hmm. But to be able to tackle this problem, I think we must focus on the strategy, the method that will be used, like Livio said, using the scientific method or approach is important. But how do we go about implementing it in a country or in a continent where there is resistance? And I think an eclectic approach to this should be the best form of approach.
Okay.
We'll start with the children in primary schools, going to the secondary schools. But then at some stage, or even at the same time, we might look at the governmental structures, especially those on the continental platform, like the Pan-African Parliament, whereby if an opportunity will be made to talk to those policymakers on the continent of Africa, and they can take it to all the other individual countries where whom they are representing. I think it will be also a good place to start, because now, knowing what we know now, there is already resistance from Nigeria, especially with the pastors, the church, and other groups, even the individuals who are Christians. They are resisting, but it's fine because the resistance must come. But it is the perseverance that will determine the level of success that can be achieved.
Excellent.
I'll say for me, although I didn't take notes, but just going by what I could remember, I'm a kind of person who loves foundation.
Okay.
So no matter how long I've gone, if I notice that the foundation is faulty, I stop and try to rebuild it. And based on that, I think I'll still go by the ordering because Africans, I'll say Nigerians and Africans at large, majority of them don't even know that there's such a thing as a worldview. People struggle with that. When you say worldview, they don't even understand what you are talking about.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They don't even know. So the first thing is to actually teach them that there is such a thing as a
Christians, non-Christians.
There is such a thing as a worldview. people struggle with it. Because like if you tell a Christian, a normal Christian worldview, it's just like when our brother was asking the question, what they are thinking is, why are you calling worldview? Because, in their mind, you say, do not associate with the world. Okay. Do not be unequally yoked with the world and all that stuff. So they don't even understand. So when you say worldview, you are telling them to view things like the world? No. To be part of the world system. So, yes. So that for me is a major...
Things are bad then.
Yeah. And that's why I told I think about the first day, I said, if I were to choose, part 1, part 2 of worldview will be my choice. Because that is where the foundation starts from. We must first of all teach them that there is such a thing as a worldview, and there are different worldviews. And even though you don't know, this is the current worldview you hold. And that is why...
This is where you are.
This is where you are.
And in the quadrant.
that is what has stifled growth, and this is where you need to be. And this is the process you need to get there. Then once that has been done, the next step is begin to prick their curiosity so that they get into the mindset of knowing that, okay, you know what, I think I should. So prick their curiosity so that they begin to know that at least they have the ability, the capacity, and the right to ask questions. So once you build their curiosity up to the point whereby they begin to say, okay, yes, I think I can ask questions.
So how will worldview enlightenment or worldview lessons, I know the answer, but I want you to answer it for yourself. How will it destroy superstition? You want to help? Okay.
Using worldview to declare a war against superstition, I think it comes from the fact that we in Africa practice paganism. And one of the factors or one of the strongest elements of paganism is the superstitious belief that we have. So if we could use
everything in paganism is faulty, superstitious, no scientific base for it. For example, when anything happens, we call on God and the spirits, and that is a superstitious belief on its own.
Yeah.
So when you teach them, when you open their eyes that what you are living in, it is superstition. No, it's not God to blame for anything that happens. So you are breaking that superstition hold on them. And then when they say, when anything happens, when it is not God to blame, then it is people, evil people or evil. So it is also superstition. It is love that can help people. It is love that can help you. Love is built in your DNA. Not suspicion of or enemies. Because the whole paganistic worldview is suspicion of evil, of enemy, that enemy is evil. Enemy is going to kill me. Enemy. So everybody is either me and my family or enemy. So it is all superstitious to think that anything that is wrong, it is either the gods we have to appease or the enemies that we have to kill or fight. Everything in the whole culture of paganistic society is based on superstition. So opening their eyes and comparing and showing them other worldviews and the advantages that leads to can help break them from.
So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I just wanted to add this, and I'll use experience. The story just came to my mind. One of the ways you can break that is to challenge. I mean, sometimes openly challenge this superstitious belief. And the story I will use is, I remember way back a couple of years ago, I was staying with a family in Lagos. And there was this day, the dad said we should go get him bread. So I went with one of the elder son. So we went to the place. When we got there was a man parked with a Mercedes Benz talking to the people selling bread and some other stuff, these Yoruba women. So I didn't know who the man was. So I just told him, please, can you excuse me? I want to choose the bread. The guy just got annoyed. Just started, do you know who I am? Started talking, was speaking Yoruba. I was understanding it, but I couldn't speak. So I said, I didn't do anything. I only said, please excuse me, let me pick bread. The guy started chanting incantation and all that. I never knew that he was a herbalist. And afterward, I got to know that he comes there once in a week or sometimes twice and terrorize the people there and collect
their money,
like food stuff or bread or whatever from them, and sometimes from money. So it got heated, and he was like, he will show me today and all that. And before he knew, he went to his guy, brought out one long stick with amulet, charms, and all that, and did this incantation, and threw it in front of me.
You are already a Christian.
Yeah. I was just looking at him. I was like, this guy is so ignorant. Because me then, I was like, you know, I would say I was on fire for God because I was like going out preaching and all that. So he just threw the stick in front of me and said, if I have two heads, I should cross it. That because I have to step to get the bread. And everybody was there. Mommy, please don't. So I just looked at him. I was telling him, I said, why are you acting ignorant? You are a matured person. I'm supposed to be like your son. You are acting anyhow. He said, if they put me, I should cross it. So I said, I will show you that this thing is ordinary stick. So I crossed it, took up the stick, and out of my annoyance, I used the stick to hit him. So the old women there was like, Then he came again, he started, he said, it now changed from something will happen now to I give you 24 hours. So because the
it
father...
is all built on fear,
it's fear
and belief. If you believe in it, it will happen to you, or you fear it.
So I just talked, I picked up my bread and I told the guy, please, let's go. So the guy was talking, so we went away. So when we went away, the next day, I was still sleeping. So the guy went back as maybe he was passing that way. So all the women called him, say, what about your brother? Is he okay? Is he okay? And the guy said, yes, he's okay, sir. So that alone broke the
stronghold,
fear and stronghold that the women
superstitious stronghold.
So it's just superstitious. It's nothing. It doesn't. Well, I've never believed in such crap. So I think we must be bold. We must come to a place where we are bold to physically and openly challenge
evil
those
superstitious beliefs.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, let's continue with the video. We are going to continue. Okay, давай. No, he doesn't. He will not. Even if he's using it, it's not English.
Однажды слышал от вас
Our audience is English.
что как бы вы призваны в Африку и что это будет первая держава, законодатель, лидер, да? Вот и тогда, конечно, у меня не было ответа. Задавался вопрос только поверить, наверное, почему тогда, откуда такая уверенность? Теперь я вижу через искусство задавать вопросы. Это искусство позволит вам всегда на голову, ну или Африке, на голову выше, на шаг вперед.
Okay, what he's saying is that there was a time when I announced to the church that my focus now is Africa, that God has called me to Africa and I'm going to be focusing more on Africa, that the church should release me. That I said my own job is to make Africa the first and leading, Nigeria especially, but Africa the leading Christian country in the world. That it was that time, he was thinking, I know Pastor Sunday did this in Ukraine, but will he be able to do it in Africa? And what instrument? That I was always curious. What are the instruments that Pastor will use? That I don't know everything, but just being here alone, this questioning thing alone is enough to make Africa a leading continent. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, video, we continue.
And I believe that Africa will never be regenerated or civilized or developed without us uprooting all forms of superstitions from African continent. The first enemy that we must fight against in Africa is superstition, or the mentality of superstitions. Either it's traditional superstitions or religious superstitions. We must declare a holistic war against superstitions. Number two, we must declare war against all forms of injustice.
Stop. You wanted to say something?
That's exactly what I wanted to say. What you just said now about uprooting superstition. Because that's Africa's #1 enemy. In the sense that, let me relate to a story I read in one book. Some group of missionaries came to one West African country as there was a cholera outbreak. And then they were in one hospital, they were asking one of the nurses there, as the nurses saw them touching one patient who has cholera, said, no, don't touch this patient because what is happening to her is witchcraft.
Cholera is witchcraft.
Yes. While the missionaries or the people that came were trying to teach them how to drink clean water and how to add some form of antibiotics for the treatment. So this is actually most of the problem we have in Africa. And I believe the greatest tool to use in destroying such belief system is information, it's knowledge. And I believe what you are teaching us here is exactly that too. And it is the power that is attached to information that will be able to do this.
Excellent. Any other person want to make a comment on that? Okay, let's continue.
Or the mentality of superstitions. Either it's traditional superstitions or religious superstitions. We must declare a holistic war against superstitions. Number two, we must declare war against all forms of intolerance and tribalism or nepotism. That's number two. We must, declare war against intolerance based on tribal basis, or intolerance based on religious basis, or intolerance based on nepotism. So, our number one enemy is superstition. Number two, intolerance. Number three.
Stop. Okay. So, intolerance, either it is nepotism or religious intolerance. Especially the biggest one we have is tribalism, intolerance. Let's hear that too again. Nazat Shushit.
Declare war against intolerance based on tribal basis, or intolerance based on religious basis, or intolerance based on nepotism.
So stop. There are three types of intolerance that I mentioned there. Tribal intolerance, religious intolerance, and nepotism. So, but let me now challenge you. You remember with the class we just did that we must challenge our biases. Do you know that there are, maybe some of us who are even here are guilty of this, that we have religious biases and intolerance towards Muslims? A lot of Christians in Nigeria are like that. A lot of Christians in Nigeria, we don't treat Muslims in Nigeria as our brothers and sisters, even though we belong in the same country. Even though they are not Boko Haram. In Nigeria, it's so strongly present that Christians and Muslims are, especially if they are from northern Muslims. The Western Muslim one can see a little bit, but the northern, do you think that intolerance is there? Is it stronger than tribal intolerance among Christians? But because with all these things that these pastors are doing, kill them, cut off their head, curse them, don't you think that is emphasizing even more? Or it's not?
It is. Like, for example, the day Oyedepo said, if any of the Muslims come into the compound, spill their blood here.
But even Suleiman said something like that.
Yeah. Cut off their head, spill their blood. I asked my...
Yeah. And people respect them. Oh.
And so?
No, Oyedepo didn't mention there that if they are coming to harm you. I can play it right.
Yeah, he didn't say when they are coming to. No, Oyedepo didn't say when they are coming to. He said if you find,
if they come,
if you find any of them around this vicinity, spill their blood. That's what he said.
That's what he said. And what Suleiman said is that they were coming to harm him, not you. So he said, kill them.
And that's how so many innocents.
I can show the video if you want.
Die.
Kill them, spill their blood, cut off their head.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's sad.
So what if they're coming to harm you?
If they are coming to harm you, I would rather let them do to me what I would rather do like Stephen did. Lord, unto you I commit my soul. Forgive them for the do not know. We already have a template for that. Jesus is our template.
Yeah, because Peter.
We don't even need to struggle about that. We already have a template. The person we call our Lord. That's what he does. That's what he's renowned for. In fact, that's why we worship him today.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there are a couple of things, a couple of factors we don't understand. That's why we react the way we react sometimes. First and foremost, we as Christians, we don't really know what death is. If we know what death is, then all this issue of you want to defend your life will not even come.
You are doing me a favor.
You understand?
I'm going to have express entrance into my home.
And secondly, an example, when the Roman soldiers came to take Jesus, Peter drew up his sword and cut the ear of somebody.
Example is everywhere in the Bible.
No. Don't you, those that live by the sword, die by the sword. And he healed the guy right there. So it might be tough for us to accept, but that's the truth.
Evil will only lead to more evil.
Yeah, that is the truth.
You can never overcome evil by another evil.
Yeah. So when you try to kill, if you try to, if they are coming to kill you, kill them. After you kill them, do you get satisfaction?
Yeah.
Do you live a peace? Can you live with yourself that you've taken the life of another person? So let them deal with that trauma, not you.
Beautiful.
I'd rather let them deal with it and not me.
Well said.
It's hard to take,
but we are Christians. This is Christianity. Jesus said, love your enemy. If they come to slap you, give them another something. That is Christianity. Now, if there is a way to stop them,
prevent them
and prevent them without killing them, you have to do it. So if there is a way to stop them from doing the evil, it's even doing favor to them too. That is good. But if the only option is to kill them, no, of course I will not kill them.
I can't remember the book now. I know I've read a novel where the death of missionaries
always
brought about a revival.
Always.
They didn't defend themselves. They allowed themselves to be killed.
I mean, the blood of the matter is the seed of revival in Christianity.
So there might be a purpose why God is even allowing them to even attack you in the first place.
But because our people don't understand this, or they don't, they don't think deeply enough. They don't even think about what they believe, about what Jesus Christ, the author of their faith, said. They don't believe Jesus. They just say they are Christian, but they don't believe Jesus.
It's still emotions.
It's emotions.
Jesus says something, it's clear. You read it every time. But
you have to remove your emotion and embrace Jesus' word.
It's difficult, but...
You wanted to say something? You might want to come this side, this side, this side.
Yes, I'm even of the opinion that many pastors or Christians in Nigeria do not, now in this time, they do not even consider Muslims as people who qualify for salvation. So it's like the only people they care to preach to are probably their family members who is not a Muslim.
You mean they will not even preach to Muslims?
Why is it very easy for us to curse people who are Muslims or people who we think are terrorists because they are Muslims? The herdsmen who are allegedly killing, they are also candidates. Are they not candidates for salvation too?
They are.
So why must
we should be more concerned about their salvation than killing them?
How many crusades have they done in those northern villages?
So, no, they've not done any. They don't do that.
Nothing.
They will only do crusade where they can get money.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a white man all the way from Germany to
go there.
Do crusades in the north, and they are here and they are there in the country.
So
and they are anointed men of God.
So you find out that this bias went so far, and it is what has caused a lot of division in our country today. And I mean bold to say this year that the 2015 election that some people made about religion is part of what has brought us to where we are now. Yeah. So many Christians in the South now already have a prejudice against Buhari even before he took office. Yeah. And
so if anything is going wrong,
it's just like that. They just, because it's Muslim.
They make it
number two, number two, I'm very glad you've mentioned about questioning, because we just see things, and when we see the source, or it's just on newspaper, it's on internet, we just take it. There's a popular statement, sir, the baboon and the dog will be soaked in blood, that's attributed to Buhari. This man never said such. He never said such. But that fake news has gone so much that nobody questions what's the source of this statement. Something happened today, sir. A popular newspaper in Nigeria called Premium Times. They are an online tabloid. They spread a news last week, immediately after the death of people were killed in Plateau, which of course every death is condemnable. Nobody celebrates any death. But they now quoted the Mietiala guy, that's the 8-man community, that he said that because 200 cows were killed, 300 cows were killed, that so the killing is a reprisal for the killing of 300 cows. So CNN now interviewed that guy. The guy said, I didn't make any statement of like that. So they now started doing a lot of research as to how the news came through. It is just today that Premium Times is apologizing after how many days of that news moving like that.
And people believe it though.
So how did the guy get the news? He got it through all this WhatsApp. And guys, especially the way they spread unnecessary news on WhatsApp, it scares me these days. The guy saw the news on WhatsApp that it was from one The Nation guy, and when his boss asked him, he said the guy told me. He lied. So look at what fake news has caused in the minds of the people now. So that generalism also has affected someone like Buhari even before he came into office, before he started doing anything. So the way they made it about,
because they said it is they who claim it.
Yeah.
Why that is Buhari not arresting them?
Yes. And the guy did not say anything like that. So they are just apologizing. And the truth is that fake news spread fast. And the Christians
will believe it. And they will say it's true, it's a lie.
Islamic agenda. Islamic agenda, all of those. So
no critical thinking.
No critical thinking. So that our bias already, sir, has destroyed a lot that we don't even know what we are doing. We don't even know what we're doing. And the base again, I'm sorry to divert a little. Someone says Islamic agenda, Islamization. I'm saying if people can Islamize, it means we can also Christianize.
Are we not trying to Christianize? Is that not what evangelism means?
No, somebody replied and said, okay, you say we should Christianize, so should we start killing Muslims to Christianize?
Yes, person said, should we start killing Muslims to Christianize? But if you think really, if Muslims were indeed killing people, we have no country.
We will have no country of
the Fulani people are at least 2 million people.
And they are everywhere, in the south, in every city, in every village.
So if you just want to generalize them like that, these herdsmen are killers like that, will we have a national rampage? So evil is evil. Evil must be condemned as evil, but we must not use our bias to give it a coloration of any religion or of any tribe or of any association. Some people again today are saying Osibajo should resign. Why? Because he's working for Buhari. They said he's not speaking against the S-men. But the problem now is he's spoken too much. In fact,
wait, what is speaking? What is it? Again, sentiment as we are talking about.
So he's spoken too much. In fact, that we've not even been able to see the correlation between what he said and what has been done. So if it's to speak, I mean, I could just type on my comment, I condemn.
It's so easy to
do. If you want someone that is speaking, let's elect Ayofayoshe now.
Melaye.
Yeah. Dino Melaye, Ayofayoshe, Ben Bruce. Let's put them there. They will speak and speak and speak and nothing will get done. So we must learn to live beyond our sentiments and prejudices.
Okay, so what are the topics here that you think can help us tackle the biases Because the first thing I spoke about that is we need to uproot is superstition.
Superstition.
The second one is religious bias, tribal bias, and nepotism. So biases. What are these? Which one of these topics can help deal with bias? Those biases: religious bias, tribal, and nepotism.
I think developing critical thinking, the art of questioning, understanding worldview, and teaching Africa common sense would really go a long way in helping to deal with biases. Critical thinking, teaching Africa common sense, understanding worldviews, and the art of question, and in fact how to question. Because people just, do you know, when I see a news of especially national importance, I don't look for it just on one news blog.
No, and our problem also is that we just read most people just read the caption.
And they've used it to incite a lot. You will see a lot of news, and they know that people don't read. That's why they do that. You will see the headline, you will now open the stuff and read the news, no correlation at all. No correlation at all. And I was told, I don't know, but I was told that this is the first time that they are actually not paying press in the history of the country. Before they,
anybody who has money can just go and give them.
So this is the first time the government is not paying press. So they are not giving them good press reportage. I'm not sure of how true that is, but we must be able to question everything we see. How true is this? We must look for alternate sources. Anybody can wake up this morning, sir, and just write something that Chris R said this. As a matter of fact,
nobody knows that more than me.
As a matter of fact, you see in the age where people are creating clone accounts. I saw one of DSA, about 12, right? I know Bishop Sunday Adelaja on Facebook. You have about 12 bishops. This is not even DSA, it's not doctor, it's not pastor. This is a bishop. Bishops on there, like, so in such an age where things like that happen, you want to double check all information. You also don't want to judge people based by the first thing you read about them. Because, for instance, okay, let me give you an example. Someone came to the platform, started arguing with DSA. DSA said, call me and let's talk about this privately. He kept arguing. DSA said, at least respect, if you don't respect me, respect the audience. People who are listening, they came to listen to something, give them the space. So the guy left and started doing a video of how narcissistic DSA is.
Because I would not allow him.
Now, if people just jump on that, number one, have you met the man? Number two, how many of your GOs do you have access to the way you have access to DSA? Not to talk about even arguing with them.
Thank you. That's it.
Number three, what did he say before such such an encounter happened? Was his argument even right? Number four, why is it that until his ego was hurt before he realized that somebody was narcissistic? So such a person now will write, maybe in fact with good grammar, with good composition, will write article that is very nice, and you have never even met the person and you start forming prejudice. And that's the danger of one-sided story. So for me, I've also learned, even when someone is telling me the part of the story, I try to talk to you based on my part, but I don't color my mind about the other person. But majorly, I think we have this problem because we don't question the things we hear and the things we see. So I think, sir, we basically need this to become
it's
better.
The same thing for the gays.
Yeah, for the gays.
Even for the Muslims. One-sided story against them.
I would say the art of asking questions. One thing that just came to my mind now is that we need to learn how to ask questions. Because like I said, a lot of people have biases. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are angry. Even when they ask questions with anger. That we even
that
provoke.
Was a good thing we did today about how to ask questions.
Yeah, that we even provoke the other party. And before you know it, people are they are throwing blows and all that. So I think, for me, I think everything we've studied so far is definitely.
To fight against the biased mind, For me, I think we will use developing critical analysis will be the best act of questioning to fight against this, because the first example you told us about questioning our assumption. Some of us, we just develop biased mind against this Muslim because of what we assume that they are. Meanwhile, some of them are not like that. And when we start questioning what we assume, then we will get to discover more about them. And that will change our biased mind or the way we look at them. And it's the same thing with every other thing, like what you said about the gay people, the lesbian people. So many critics that we have is based on what we assume or what we have been hearing about them. So for me, the best sub-element would be questioning our assumption about these things. What do we assume and how come we assume that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, so I think this is in fact the basis of, if people will, I think anyone who wants to come now must come back here to listen to the Art of Questioning and the Art of Thinking, the series you've done. Because I think that will give them the basis to be able to reason along with any other argument you want to give in the future. I have seen people who are on this same platform too, and we love them. But by the time they raise some argument on Facebook, and you are like, okay, are we listening?
What are they listening?
You know, so questions must be asked. In fact, I don't believe, sir, that anybody is a real Christian if he has never questioned his Christianity.
Yes.
Because the question is, if you were born in Iraq, would you still be a Christian? Yeah. If you were born in India, would you be a Christian? Yeah. Somehow, by natural selection or something, or by faith, you were born where you were born. So you had an edge. Probably you didn't even need to be preached to. You were born in the church, you grew up there. So you were exposed to those conditions, to those. Doesn't necessarily even mean that you know what Christianity is. So I think the day I became a Christian for me was the day I questioned and got answer to why I am a Christian. And to do that, you must be able to put yourself in the shoes of a Muslim. You must be able to put yourself in the shoes of someone who is practicing Hinduism, of a Buddhist. You must be able to try to see what they see and how they see. They come to the conclusion that, yes, this is why I chose what I chose. And this is why, sir, a lot of Christians cannot even intellectually defend what they believe. They can't intellectually defend what they believe. This reason of also not asking questions is why we don't get revelation. It's why all of us are like the same blockhead, and we are just going about with the same mindset that cannot sustain anything. But really, people who have made progress, in fact, in Christianity, are people who have thought, people who think. When you talk about St. Augustine, when you talk about so many of these Christian philosophers who have been able to help us progress in what we understand by Christianity. But we don't question, and so we just have one single worldview, one single way of thinking. So any other thing is alien and is unacceptable. Every other thing, and that's the basis for hate. Like trust me, sir. You cannot overstate that. You cannot overstate that. In fact, we will only have very few traces. It will just be traces of exceptions that we have. Of people who actually can think.
Pastors or laymen.
All of them. Sir, write today on Facebook, and I challenge anybody to write it. Just say, Oyedepo is wrong for cursing. Come and see the comment that will follow it.
So he's right.
Don't even say it's wrong. Just say it will not work. It was Charles Awuzie that says, it will work. Come and see the comment. He said, let him try it on you now. Yeah, please go.
Yeah.
She wants you to.
Yeah, you are talking.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you talk. Yeah, I need you.
Mayo watching. He needs you. All right. So this bias, does not even allow us to appreciate the diversity that we have as a nation. One of the most beautiful things we have is the diversity, the fact that there are different creeds, different nations in one country. But just the fact that we have held on to our bias. I mean, there are some comments you will see on Facebook. By the time you see the comment, you don't even need to think twice. You already know which name. I mean, that's just how it is. You just see the bias. Because these people are not thinking. And so that's why propaganda spreads very fast. And the truth is that you never profit from propaganda. None of us do. The only people that profit from propaganda are the elites that have set it into motion.
The political
elite. And they say it as per what pays them, what profits them per time. So we just make ourselves pawns in a chess game where we ought to even be the ones deciding simply because we do not think. So, sir, I think you have done a great job, and you are doing a great one by raising this topic. If our nation must progress, if we must ever get anywhere, we must begin to think. It's simple. If I don't know what I want, you cannot be what I want. If I do not know where I'm going, anywhere can be my destination without necessarily getting to where I want to get to. So without thinking, we cannot know as a people, we cannot come to a consensus as a people that this is where we want to go. We will always be talking on the basis of chauvinism, on the basis of parochial needs and wants. This is southeast, this is southwest. And all of those bodies that divide us, they belittle us, and they do not profit us for anything. They only speak for their pocket. Check through history. All of these Afenifere, they only speak for their pocket. They don't, just say to them, you won't hear him again. So I think, sir, that we must propagate this series. We must propagate this ideology of bringing the art and the act of thinking and incorporating it back into our nation again. So you're doing a good job, sir.
Yes. Okay, then let's continue the video.
Basis or intolerance based on nepotism. So our number one enemy is superstition. Number two, intolerance. Number three, we must declare war against miracle craze mentality. I'm sorry, but the churches are to blame for this one. The churches are to blame for this one. Because when you see a people that is reliant on miracles for their daily life survival, they are making a fun of God Almighty. To be a miracle crazed society or miracle crazed with miracle crazed mentality, that society is rebuking God and is indicting God. To be running after miracle means that we are telling God that, God, you've been irresponsible. You've not done a good job. When you created the earth, you didn't put everything in place for the earth to function well. So now, because you didn't put everything in place, now we have to be coming back to you and run to you every minute and be asking for a miracle, for protection, for that and that and that, and for blessing, and for, as if God had not put all that in consideration when they put us here on the earth. It's a form of unbelief. So does that mean I don't believe in miracles? Oh yeah, I do believe in miracles. And by the grace of God, I'm a miracle myself. And God uses me to do miracles all the time. But you know what? You and I don't have any right to ask or look for miracles until we are sure that we have done our best and we've also lived according to the life-based principles that God has put in nature by himself. So until we have done all our best, we shouldn't be looking for miracles. But to just be looking for miracles there where you could have gone to do the thing yourself, to begin to ask for miracles where you could have lent a hand, to begin to ask for miracles where you were supposed to do your best, to begin to ask for miracles when you have not even done the least that is expected of you. Yes, excuse me. Excuse me. That mentality must be uprooted from our African consciousness until we declare a comprehensive war against miracle-centered or miracle-crazed, attitude and reactions to life and mentality in Africa. We will remain underdeveloped and we will remain a scorn of the world. The world is going to keep on laughing at us. We're going to remain refugees in all kind of countries that don't even deserve to look down on us. We're going to, our children will be dying in the Mediterranean Sea and, in the Atlantic Ocean trying to get to Europe. Some of them even trying to get to Libya or Morocco looking for economic refuge. So that's number 3 thing that must be uprooted from our consciousness and from our society for us to advance. And number 4.
So let's have the list of the messages again and let's see what messages can we use out of what we have gone through this way to uproot miracle craze mentality. Who wants to comment on that? Yes, please.
I think number 1 and 2 about worldview, because it's all about paganism, but this time not in the tribalistic or superstitious way, in the religious manner, according to what the religious leaders have taught them, that you have to do prayer and fasting, and you will have your miracle, you have your breakthrough, and they don't have any knowledge.
They appeal to appease to God all
the
time.
That's why I said number 1 and 2.
All their problems.
Yeah.
So that is paganistic worldview.
That is paganistic worldview, yeah. And they don't have any, they don't even question it. They don't have any knowledge about how is that going to happen. So
they believe themselves to the sake of God or
gods. It's all about the same paganism. Yeah, paganistic worldview.
Okay, any other person has another idea apart from paganism? Apart from paganism, understanding worldviews, what are the other instruments or out of this teaching can we use to uproot miracle craze mentality from our midst? Nobody has any idea?
I think the art of questioning, asking questions.
Say it to the microphone, please.
I think the art of asking questions and also how to ask questions.
Yes, brilliant. Yeah. What about scientific methods?
Yeah, even the scientific method is still a form of asking questions.
Will it help deliver our people from miracle craze?
Definitely, it will. It will, because that's the basis of our argument. Because now they will know that some things have to be dealt with on the cause-effect, logical basis, and not just by their belief in miracles and in luck and any of such.
Okay, very good. All right. Let's go back to the video. Or you want to say something? Okay, let's go back to the video.
Be uprooted from our conscious video and from our society for us to advance. And number 4, we will need to uproot and declare a total war against subserviency, or what I would call idol worshiping. I'm not talking about idol worshiping in terms of statues and physical objects. I'm talking about idol worshiping in terms of subserviency. I'm talking about idol worshiping in terms of looking up to human beings as to deities, as if humans are supposed to be worshipped.
They look up to him or her as to deities. Subservience is even in culture, it's even in the family. Even if you are abroad, you just go abroad, some of them already begin to worship you. So subservience is part of,
Even friends, not just family members.
Even friends.
Just the fact that you are living in Europe, your friends that you grow up together with them, they start having another view about you. Because
Microphone.
Yeah, because I have friends in Cameroon.
You have to start by saying even friends.
That is not just at the level of family members, even friends. The fact that you are no longer in Africa, you are living here in Europe, they develop a different view about you. And I had that in my personal life because when I went back to Cameroon, people that we grew up together, went to primary school together, instead of just calling me the normal way they used to call Rosa, they are calling me Sister Rosa, Auntie Rosa, and these are people that are my age mate, my friends. Just just because they have another look about you.
So subservience is part of the culture then?
Especially when
apart
you...
from religion, it's in religion, but it's also in the culture. Especially people have the tendency to subservience regarding people they could get help from.
That is it, yeah. Especially the fact that you are no longer there, you are living here. They believe that you have everything, you can solve their problem easily. And by giving you that respect, when they ask something, you easily give them. Yeah. But I used to tell them, so you don't have to call me sister this.
Let's see the list of the messages. What can we use to break that? Tell me the list, out of this list of messages, what do you think we can use to... What can we use to break it?
Maybe thinking like a genuine, because...
Like a genius.
Like a genius, because...
Okay, so that everybody will know he's a genius, eh?
So that you...
everybody is a genius.
Yeah, so that everybody will have that in mind, that I can achieve anything.
As much as you want. Don't be modest.
So that... so that... No, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I have...
Okay.
So that everybody will have that at the back of their mind, that if I want something, I can also have it. Or if this person could succeed in this field, I can also do something to myself and work hard and get it. Just like from the book that were The Law of Difference, where they said everybody is a star. Yeah. If you could just take time to develop yourself, find out the star in you, you will also be successful. So I think using thinking like a genius will also resolve some of these problems. Just to give them that knowledge that you too, you also have only two hands like me and one head. If I can do it, you too can do it. So, yeah.
It doesn't matter the location.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the location, yeah.
Do you think intellectual curiosity could help too?
Which number is that? 3. Ah, yeah. Yeah. I think it could help because they also lack knowledge. Yeah. If they could try to be curious and educate themselves.
They will know that nobody is better than them.
Yes, yeah.
Intellectual curiosity also.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the video.
I'm talking about idol worshiping in terms of subserviency. I'm talking about idol worshiping in terms of looking up to human beings as to deities, as if humans are supposed to be worshipped. I think that must be uprooted in Africa. We must let our people know that God created all of us equal. We must let our people know that there is no place in God's creation for man to worship man. And the fact that I'm more successful than you doesn't make me to be superior to you. And no matter how successful I am, that still does not mean that I should rule over you or you should be subordinate to me. If I'm successful, if I'm powerful, that means I should serve you and help you to come up to where I am. So, subserviency, idol worshiping, there's no place for it. That's why when you look into the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26, God told man to have dominion over all of his creation, apart from over another man. Yeah? We could have dominion over the trees and the oceans and the birds and the animals and the, the raw materials, the mineral resources. God creation of the ocean, the sky, the space, the moon, every part of creation. But no matter how powerful you are, you and I are not allowed to have dominion, all right, over any other human being. We are not supposed to own and possess and treat anybody as our property. So,
but what about how we treat drivers and maids? We have those in Africa. Even our families, some of them, even our own parents are guilty of some of these things. Even our own families are guilty. Do you know that in Nigeria, the owner of the house, the boss, doesn't treat those house helps as the same, as equal to them? Even some people, their drivers, they don't treat them as equal to them. But why are we then blaming pastors that they are not treating members as equal to them? So the whole culture is totally compromised. Even like, for example, you remember yesterday I went outside there. Some of our Russian people came around me and all of them were holding me and something like that. Normal thing. Will you go and hold your Jew, everybody, all of them like that? Where do you even see him? For I. Talk less of going to hug him and stand there and talk and. Это уже для меня, да. Будем думать. He's just saying that the debate might be another way to spread these things, to open debate and discussions, yes. Put it on television, media, and everything. Public discussions. So, but these are not just pastors who are to blame or government who is to blame. So why are we saying it's only government that is bad? It means that we ourselves as a people are bad now. But we don't want to admit that we ourselves are guilty. We want to say government is guilty, but somebody is bad, but not me.
That's where the issue of the nations or continental value system comes in, because it's flawed. It's warped. This is where the problem is. It's entrenched.
So if I happen to be poor now, so I'm not a human, normal person.
That's the problem. And that's
maybe that's why everybody wants to be rich at any cost.
Yes, that's where the problem is. This is where the wickedness comes in.
It's wickedness.
That's where people now have to cross the Mediterranean to come to Europe in order to make it, and they die
now
in the sea.
Because the treatment he will be getting as a poor person.
So they have to do everything to go overseas.
So that they will also be powerful.
This is it.
This thing is serious. So,
And elites went to visit Nelson Mandela. When
where is my book about the elite? The role of the elite.
So he went to see...
And responsibility. I mean, and you are born to make your nation great.
He went to see Nelson Mandela.
Who went to do it?
One of the big person in South Africa. An elite, yeah.
Okay.
He went with his driver. So when it's time to eat...
In South Africa?
In South Africa.
A Nigerian?
No, South Africa based, yeah. So his driver was sitting in the car. Nelson Mandela asked him, "Who came with you?"
Okay.
Who came with you? He said, "Nobody."
Nobody came with
So Nelson Mandela knew
so that driver
that,
is not a human being?
Yeah. So Nelson Mandela didn't say anything. He just went outside. He called the driver to the table. So they ate together. He was shocked. He couldn't believe it.
The Oga was shocked.
Nobody.
Yeah. Nobody came with him.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wrote this book, Pakajite. That's why I wrote this book, The Role of the Elite. The role of elites in national transformation. This book will change the mentality of elitism in our country. That we're treating other people worse just because we happen to be fortunate or to be born in the right family. That has to be broken and totally destroyed. That's what this book is about. That classism, that elitism, that, what did I call it in this book? Aristocratism has to be totally destroyed. So that's what this book is about. And this one is also, you are born to make your nation great. That everybody that is born in that country is as important as myself. Because when I say that you should treat your maid and as human being like you, I had questions coming from Facebook saying, so will you treat your own driver like, yes!
You don't understand.
Come and see the way I treat my drivers. I have drivers, I have my cook, I have my staff. Look at my staff here. I will finish, you'll come and hold me and we will sit down with me, we'll all talk.
You don't understand.
So, yeah. Or as a pastor, I don't think I am superior to I'm their pastor, but we are the same. We are equal. We are all children of God. He needs the microphone. So because I'm the pastor, is he not made in the same image of God like me?
So this is where the problem is too much, especially in our African societies. You know, there is this story about...
I'm sorry, guys. You people are telling me the time is over. I'm sorry. I will just finish now. This one is finished.
There is this story of one of the elite in Nigeria who has a gate man.
Yeah, especially if that gate man is a northerner.
Yeah.
They even call them something, mullah or something. Is it Malam?
So this, in as much as the story, we can say it relates to the northern part of the country, but it's all over the country. This man, the gate man have a son. The man have a son. And while growing up, they used to play together. The gate man doesn't have money to send the kid to school. But this man have excess wealth to even take the whole village to school.
You know, you mean he will not do it? He will not send the gate man's son?
Now, the boy...
He will not even come to his mind.
No, the boy, his own son, gain admission to go to a university. The son of the gate man also gained admission.
Ah, so the man gave the gate man's son
scholarship? No, he didn't. And the son came to him complaining, came to the father complaining, asking, Dad, why can't you send this man to school? You have the money. He said, why must I do that? Who will serve you thereafter?
No, maybe is he a tale? Is he a tale?
No.
No, is it real life story?
It's a real life story.
No, is it true?
It's even till today. Even till today, it's
no,
happening.
Are you serious?
I am. Even like I'm telling you, any part of the country, this is happening. Because to send this...
No, because you have to be sure this thing is a true story.
It is a true story.
It's a common thing.
It's widespread. It's not even... It's widespread. Because the mentality is that if we send these boys to school...
Did you hear what he said? That no, let him talk now. Me, I want to. Did you hear what he said? That who will serve? What did you say?
Who will serve them? Who will serve the sons when these people get to school and become liberated?
That who will serve you?
The boy when he grows up. Yes. So is these are the mentality?
No, that's what he said now.
And that's why now, no, most of these so-called street kids are now being used for their nefarious activities like stoking war, fighting their battles, and then putting disorder in the society. Call them alamajiri, call them alaye, call them anything. This is why there are plenty of them in the society.
Even sir, if you listen to the latest scandal...
Make a take microphone then. You said it's true what he said.
Yeah, it is true. I was in Nigeria. I told you I was in Nigeria twice last year. So I went to see my friend's mom. Our younger brother is also a...
no, don't tell me that our society is as wicked as that.
He's an assistant pastor. So I went there to greet them. In fact, I can't drive in Nigeria, so I have a driver. So he wanted to sit in the car. I said, no, you come with me. So they were looking. So he came with me.
Who wanted to sit in the car?
My driver wanted to sit in the car.
Okay, your driver.
Yeah. So I asked him, come, you can't sit in the car. I'm going to take long. So he came in, we sat down. They prepared the food and everything. He was sitting. I said, where is his son? They were like...
They didn't serve him?
No! So I asked them.
Even though they know that this driver came with you?
Came with me.
No, it's not possible. It's not possible.
The driver was shocked. He said
so you believe that story too?
The driver was even shocked. He said to me, Mommy, don't worry, I'm not hungry. I said, no. I can't be eating there. You will sit down.
It's actually a normal thing. Not even
so it's a normal thing?
Yes.
It's a normal thing.
This was October last year. I cannot stand in here and be lying to you. It is what I witnessed.
You saw it with your own eyes.
I can even ask him. I can ask Biodu to come and tell you by himself. One day, I will ask him that when we went to, what's the place again, what happened that day? I asked them. I said, where is his home? They gave him food. There was no drink. They gave me nice orange juice. I said, give him a cup. Give him a cup. So they gave me a cup. The boy was looking at me. He was even shocked himself. Because he wasn't expecting it.
My God, though.
How can I be sitting here eating?
What is Mogbe? There is a word like that in Yoruba.
It is happening there. It's bad.
Doctor, that one is driver, Abi. My own cousin. She was telling me few months ago that to God be the glory, I am well to do now, living in a big house. That I remember those days when you guys came from UK. You guys will be eating in your in dining table, and my mom will say, "You go and eat in the kitchen there."
Yes.
This is my cousin.
That is true.
And your mom, and this is your mom too. And your mom will tell him that.
She was lamenting that I thank God today. I live in a big house now. I remember those days when you guys will be eating on dining table. We will be eating in the kitchen.
You didn't remember?
I can't remember.
You were used to it. It was normal to you that time.
If you're not...
Ikeshi, what will you say to that? Ikeshi, you hear what we are discussing?
To be honest, I was trying to focus on what you were saying. Like,
It's tough to focus. It's tough to get it. If you have grown up in Europe,
he wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know.
He has not been there.
He hasn't been there. He wouldn't
Well,
know.
what?
He's not the right person.
Well,
He doesn't know.
what do you mean?
He's trying to.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But you said you have experienced it. Can you give him the microphone? You have experienced it.
Sir, this is what is happening. It's a
no, it means the people are wicked. The whole country is wicked.
That's what
I'm trying to tell you.
Well, wickedness is the foundation.
The whole society is wicked. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
That is it.
No, but maybe these people are not Christians, so.
My mom is a Christian. She
born again.
She's a choir in first square. In those that time.
Born again.
Even if they are not Christian.
Even the people you went to visit, are they Christians?
Sir.
Assistant pastor. Yes. No, because he was talking about the Muslim.
No, this I said is the story I have is about a Muslim, but this is national. This is the whole country, and for them it's nothing.
Mayo, you are in trouble, oh. Because these are the topics we are all supposed to be raising. Do you know this thing happens, but you are not sure? You don't know.
Okay.
No. It means the foundation of that whole country.
It's based on wickedness. That's the.
I didn't know it had get to that level.
It is.
Wickedness.
Madam is
wickedness.
Madam is going to the market. The house girl will be walking barefooted.
What?
Madam.
What, madam?
The Oga wife going to the market.
Okay.
The house girl.
The landlady.
Yeah, the house girl will be walking barefooted, walking on the floor, no sleep.
Barefooted.
Nothing. Yes.
No, in the house.
Not in the house, in the market, and she will dress like a queen.
She would dress like a queen.
You know, when I was very small, very small, I used to see these people with those marks on their back of their legs. So I thought it was a trademark for all house helps. I didn't know. I thought anybody I see that, I thought that person was I was very small. Because I didn't know. Now you are seeing it. I didn't know because of the used leg, they don't have shoes. When I see them, I say this is a house help. That's just what I use, my trademark for knowing them anywhere I see them.
So just because my parents were not rich, it will become a.
They'll go and fetch water with bare legs and do everything.
A what? A stigma.
Sir, there is this incident of a madam of the house beating the house girl to the extent that the head was broken.
The daughter of another person.
Yes.
So this is a common thing. I'm telling you.
I have friends that are using home help, and I go to their house like this.
But why is it that nobody is complaining and campaigning about that? Why is it that nobody is campaigning? Where are the movements? Where are the national movements?
No, how can that be part of the system?
So if I start this movement now, it's going to affect everybody then, all of the elite.
And that's why they are kicking against them.
Yes, that's why.
All right.
This one tire me. And what are you saying there? Come and take microphone, make you talk. So you are confirm everything they are saying.
Valid, very valid.
So you know it's true.
Yeah, very valid. and that's what we're talking about earlier today. We're talking about the problem with our value system as a people. You know, the funny thing about
the people are wicked though.
Yeah.
Every family, now your own, my own people, every one of them are wicked. Our people are wicked. We don't know Christianity, no love. I'm telling you that now. I am telling you that now. Okay. We are just a bunch of wicked people. We are not Christians. We just go to church.
For which to die?
Please.
Growing up.
That's why you could pray that we should die now.
Yes.
It's wickedness.
And they themselves are the witch.
Part of the things I saw growing up, like in my own house, I noticed that even my own mom, in serving the people that we related with as our helps, they had a separate plate.
Plate?
Yeah. Sorry. As
to
in
eat?
Sorry.
Talk. Me,
so for me, those things, I know I had issues with. Such.
In your own house?
Yes, they had a separate plate, and I would wonder why exactly. Yes, I would wonder why they have to eat with a separate plate. Seriously. In fact, a friend of mine had asked me once, when she was considering getting a help for her house. So she was asking me that the help that lives with me, that do I allow her to come to the living room to watch TV? I said, why not? She's here for the children. Why wouldn't she watch
helps who are giving us food?
That's something
they had access to all the food. Yes. They were eating from the same thing. They were okay. They were eating the same food that their owner. This family was rich, very rich. But even they were helping us. We, the village people, are giving us food from the same plate.
Pastor, there are some places where the helps only get to eat once a day.
No, but that's wickedness now.
Seriously. I had a lady that came to live with me, and one of the questions she asked me was if she was going to, how many times in the day she would be feeding. And I found it, really, I had never heard such a thing before.
How many times will she be feeding?
Yes, that the place where she was coming from, that is only once in the night. That she's, yes.
And it should be in the night.
A fasted life. My thoughts.
I'm really shocked to hear some of these things. Some of them are really exaggerating because.
Is it exaggerating?
Yeah, me, I think that they are really exaggerating because, yeah. No, it's true. Anyway, maybe because I've not experienced. But what I have experienced and what most Western people know about we African, but I don't know about what you people have experienced. But where I'm living in Belgium, the impression that they have about we Africans is that we share a lot. So if we could share with because it's like that in Cameroon. If you don't have food, you call your neighbor. We eat outside with our neighbors. So how much more about... No, but if I could call my neighbor, how much more of that person who is living in the same house with me? That's the thing I don't understand.
So the class is overemphasized in Nigeria.
Yeah. No, but the class is in that house with you.
I think they don't see them as human beings.
I don't understand that.
Maybe they don't see them as human beings.
See, my father, growing up, he told us that he served as a help to his uncle. That was how he came to Lagos.
The more the reason why he should be kind to all the help.
Okay, let me explain. No. Now, for him, I'm trying to even say something. Now, this is your relative that brought you to live with him. He said he was sleeping by the corridor. He didn't have a room.
Yeah, even if you don't have a room.
No, you don't understand. I don't know how.
No, maybe they are not enough
on the
rooms.
floor.
Maybe they are not enough rooms now.
We didn't have enough rooms, but we sleep about 3 or 5 in a bed in the same room.
You think it was intentional?
Yes.
Intentional.
Yes.
They will put him on the floor intentionally.
Even what she's saying about walking barefoot, he told us he never had a shoe. He was going to school like that without anything, So these things have been happening. They even start today.
So why is Chinua Achebe saying in his book that nothing is basically wrong with Nigerian people? That we Nigerians are as good as other nations. We Nigerians are as great as other nations. That the only thing that is bad in our culture is our people, is our leadership. That the only problem with Nigeria is leadership. Have you never heard that thing before? That nothing is fundamentally wrong with our people. Nothing is fundamentally wrong with our culture. Nothing is fundamentally wrong with Nigerian. The only thing that is wrong is leadership. No, I've questioned Queen Abshibe in my book, Leadership, Nigeria and the Leadership. But I didn't know, if I had known it as bad as this, I would have put this in that book.
So this is what I want to say. That sometimes there are rumor mongers too that talk about how housemaids and drivers could be possessed, you know, and could cut away with your properties, so you have to exercise caution. So the house owners try to draw the boundary.
That's why they will not give food.
And they also believe that they pay them. So they have their wages or salary, and that's being too kind.
That is the advantage we all have in this discussion. That Tokwe can always be coming to bring us the Nigerian perspective.
Yes, sir. So that's one side to it. And some of these mates too and drivers also have complex, because that's the norm. So even if there's any effort to give them a better life, they've condemned themselves to the low life. They believe that.
That's the more reason why we should help them.
Like a driver could go all the way, could travel miles, he could travel to another state, drive the house owner to another state, and remain in the car for the next 1 week. The duration of time that the house owner is going to do his or her business in another state, and remain in the car.
No, it's not possible.
Not eating good meal. That's how it is.
But is that not slave trade?
Sir, this is part of that national psyche.
The psyche is totally destroyed.
That is there, because even there is a word or an adage that they used to give, that when a servant develops teeth, it will kill the person who trains him or her. And this is why the subjugation of the helpers.
Then we have to translate my book. I have a book in Russian language that is called Deti Blagoslовенная или Проклятие. I've got to translate that book and upgrade it, because I wrote a book about Jephthah. Is it Jephthah is his name? The man that killed the daughter, that said anybody that meets me, I think it's Jephthah. Yes. So that I wrote a book about that Jephthah because he was born of a prostitute, harlot. And the wife, the Lego wife, you know, they kicked him out. And the father, they kicked him out when the father died or something. And out of the community. Then he went ahead to become, you know, yes. So what I was saying in that book is that if we don't take care of the less privileged amidst us, they will first of all kill us. They will become armed robbers that will rob us. They will become the people who are.
But yeah, even there are other books out there reflecting the same conversation.
Okay.
Because it's been happening.
It's been happening for real.
Yes, it's been happening for real. There are instances where, because of the failure of society to train all these so-called outcasts of society, now they are the armed robbers of today. They are the ones who commit crimes.
Kidnappers.
Yes.
The militants.
And you name it. Okay. Because society.
The Boko Haram.
This is it. And it's the easiest thing for them to recruit them. This is the problem.
We are going to change that thing, no? We are going to change this culture.
Yes.
We are going to challenge this culture. They are going to, I'm going to give my life for this. They are going to kill me, but we are going to change this culture. I bet you that class thing, we are going to break it, oh.
Yes. Yes.
You wait.
Even there's a current problem now with Saraki, Bukola Saraki. The people that robbed Offa banks, about 3 or 4 banks robbed in Offa. So they caught them. So they are not saying it was Saraki. One of them was caught with a Mercedes car with Saraki's plate number. Yeah, they said he was the one that equipped them. He didn't ask them to go and rob, but they got the knowledge from him
Okay.
while they were acting as a thug for him during the election and everything. And he's now saying that this is what led them into armed robbery, because that time is gone now. They finished work for him. They acquired knowledge and the resources. The harms that he gave them then, I don't think he collect them back.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what give them way to do what they are doing. That's what the man said. You can listen to the interview.
The foundations of the culture is wrong, is faulty. Yeah. The psyche of the people, like he said, is warped. I think I'm done for today. Where are you? Make you take microphone, sure. Tomorrow we have to continue. I'm sorry, guys, on the internet. I think we are done for today. Thank you for opening my eyes. So. Tomorrow morning, 9:30. Yeah.
Okay. Elena, camera.
We have work to do.
Camera.
We have work to do. Hey, me, I like challenges. Thank God. People are helping me. I didn't even know that they still have all those housemaid and the drivers and guide and all those people. But they are human beings too. Don't worry, we are going to fix it. People will say I'm taking too much to my head. That is what I was born for. I'm going to take too much to my head. Because all this teaching I'm doing right now, this is just because I'm here. By the time I get to Nigeria, I'm going to be seeing those problems for real. For real. And those are the things we'll be tackling. You think I'm a troublemaker now? Hey. All those bishops thinking I'm a troublemaker now. Hey, you don't even start yet. You don't even know me yet at all. In fact, I'm right now a good boy. Yeah, let me tell you. I am now a good boy. Everybody will have problems. Politicians will have problems. Pastors will have problems. Every simple person who is comfortable and mismanaging people, mistreating people, everybody will have problems. I'm going to have enough resources to tackle them. Believe me. I'm going to have a company, detective company. I'm going to employ at least 1,000 people. That we are going to be recording. We are going to be fixing all the problems. Everybody, I'm going to be having lawsuits, thousands of them every day. You wait. Sure. You don't start.
Okay, viewers, friends on Facebook, thank you for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 9:30 Ukraine time.